Hello and welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today is Friday, March 8th, 2024. So I'd like to share a thought with you that may or may not be something that resonates with you. Maybe it's something that'll make sense, or maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm sort of on the right path here, maybe not. So here's what I'm thinking, okay? Stronghold Digital Mining is ostensibly in the Bitcoin mining industry. So when we have our investor presentations, we are not speaking to energy analysts. We're not speaking to financial, sort of like financial services, analysts. We're speaking sort of to like technology / digital asset slash like cryptocurrency analysts. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I think our coverage analysts are genuinely good people. I really enjoy and appreciate the level of insight, analysis, and perspective that they bring to the conversation. The thing is, right, when you think about the industry as a whole that we are a part of, the so-called publicly traded Bitcoin mining industry, we occupy a very, very tiny, arguably almost like insignificant portion of that industry. Now, for reasons that are beyond the scope of today's broadcast, there are perhaps a number of reasons why we are where we're at insofar as our position within this industry. But one thing seems to be abundantly clear to me, at least, and I'm kind of curious how you think about this, from your perspective. But it really seems as if, though, the publicly traded Bitcoin mining industry, the traders and investors who are attracted to this industry have spoken. And I think they've spoken very loudly and very clearly. And they haven't just done so for a short period of time, but I think arguably for a fairly lengthy period of time. And what investors and traders within the publicly traded Bitcoin mining ecosystem are saying, or at least what I'm hearing, is that we want exponential growth in hash rate, and we do not want to see any debt. In other words, we're okay with dilution. We're okay with issuing more shares to acquire hash rate capacity to grow, into a very, very large scale type of operation. And that's fine. I'm not taking issue with that. It is what it is. I will point out that even though others, not me, others within sort of this industry who perhaps take a more, like a short, sort of like perspective in the sense that, hey, they're betting that Bitcoin mining stocks are going to go down. Even though like some very, I think, persuasive analysis has been published as it relates to a number of companies in this industry, it doesn't matter. Like it does not actually diminish or discourage or dissuade investors and traders from continuing to support, advocate for, and embrace, companies within our industry who, as I said a moment ago, are going for exponential hash rate growth, no debt by any means necessary. And typically that means issuing more and more shares so as to raise the capital necessary to invest in more and more Bitcoin mining machines and to get rid of the ones that are a little bit older and to continually expand operations so that, hey, we can have more data centers into which to place more Bitcoin mining machines and to just continually grow, sort of like to infinity, right, so to speak. How does Stronghold Digital Mining fit into that industry? It doesn't. At least that's my perspective at this point. I don't think we fit into this industry. Greg Beard, our chief executive officer, has mentioned on more than one occasion, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, that, we, meaning Stronghold, are in the energy arbitrage business. And I'm starting to wonder if, clearly, I don't know that we can just create our own industry, right, out of whole cloth. But I do wonder if we might perhaps more comfortably fit into the energy industry, in the sense that, hey, we have our own assets, we produce, or at least have the ability to produce electricity. And we do produce electricity, to be clear. It's not like I'm suggesting it's a hypothetical option. No, it's a very real option that I have physically, personally witnessed, happening, right? I've seen electricity being produced. There's no doubt about that. Would we more suitably fit into the energy industry, perhaps? And, hey, to the extent that we can continue to produce cash, right? Maybe we actually have a better shot at having a more compelling story, right, to tell to a brand new set of investors and traders who don't even know who we are. I mean, very few people seem to know who we are in the Bitcoin mining industry. So it should not come as too big of a surprise that outside of this, microscopic industry, right, generally speaking, which is the, publicly traded Bitcoin mining industry, hey, like in the energy industry, like we're like literally, like, again, like not really well known at all. I mean, you could argue, hey, but is it the same problem? Do you just run into the same issue of obscurity? Yes, but I think that the difference is that once our story is shared, I do think that the pool of individuals who might be more interested and open-minded to this idea of like, hey, you've got this energy industry that ideally would utilize something like Bitcoin really as a something of a, I don't want to say a load bank, but just to keep it super simple. Hey, imagine like, hey, you have a bunch of power assets, say your Talon Energy, which by the way operates let's use the word a data center up at the Berwick nuclear power plant, partially in conjunction with TeraWulf. I mean, Talon is now a publicly traded company, right? They are a big deal within our portions of the PJM grid. I say that not to digress, but to point out the fact that I think there is an interesting intersection between companies within the energy industry and this issue of like, hey, well, what can we do with the energy that we create? Is there an alternative market for the energy that we produce? And of course, that's not new to us, right, at Stronghold Digital Mining, because that's what we've been talking about, right, for a very long time. You've got these energy assets, these mine waste to energy facilities, Scrubgrass in Western Pennsylvania, Panther Creek in Eastern Pennsylvania, cumulatively 165 megawatts. Okay, hey, that's not a ton, but it's something. And this company, right, is arguably an incredibly, meaning Stronghold Digital Mining, is arguably an incredibly innovative company as compared to energy sector peers who typically don't really do anything too unconventional or too experimental per se, right? We, by contrast, have like a very, a factual, proven, right, track record of doing some incredibly outside the box innovative things. And I wonder how that story might resonate amongst a completely new set of coverage analysts, say energy sector analysts, how our company could potentially fit into a larger energy company, like, for example, Talon, which has already shown an interest in operating data centers, which has already shown not just an interest, but has an actual interest in the what I believe is called the Nautilus crypto mine, again, up in Berwick, that's here in Pennsylvania, in conjunction with TeraWulf. So I'm wondering more and more if at this juncture, because think about it, right? Somebody who's interested in Bitcoin generally, well, now there are Bitcoin ETFs, right? It's highly, highly unlikely somebody who's, wants exposure to Bitcoin economics will say, I want to take a look at the Bitcoin mining industry, and then within the Bitcoin mining industry, find Stronghold digital mining. See what I mean? See what I mean there? So you already have lots of capital flowing into Bitcoin ETFs. Within the publicly traded Bitcoin mining sector, again, I think that investors and traders have spoken with resounding clarity. We want exponential hash rate growth. Now, I say that, and you may think, hey, are you being sarcastic when you say it like that? And I'm actually not really being sarcastic. I mean, the idea of exponential hash rate growth does strike me as being implausible, right? It just sounds kind of like, man, how do you sustain that, right? But it really doesn't matter, right? Because ultimately that is what investors and traders want. I come from a world, right, where, hey, if there's demand for something, you don't really care too much about what the demand is for. You seek to provide supply to fill that demand, if that makes sense. And so I say what I'm saying about the Bitcoin mining industry from a truly somewhat like agnostic perspective. I'm just observing, okay? Investors and traders want exponential hash rate growth. They don't want debt. They want, hey, they're okay with shares being issued. They want just nonstop hash rate growth. I mean, if Stronghold Digital Mining decided, hey, okay, we're going to try playing that game too, I don't know how credible it would be, and I don't know that at this juncture we could really displace some of the leaders within the industry that have already, galloped ahead insofar as saying, hey, we're going to go to a bazillion exahash and then beyond, right? Like at this point, we kind of just be, just sort of like tagging along. And I don't know that it would really resonate amongst people who have already decided, hey, we're in team X or team B or C or D. I don't want to name companies, but you know the companies, right? So at this juncture, I really am wondering, might we find a better home in a different industry, right? So instead of coverage analysts coming from the Bitcoin mining industry, but rather, hey, what if we had energy industry analysts who are now covering this energy company in Pennsylvania that is highly innovative, that's highly entrepreneurial, that does things a little bit differently, right? And this is our story. Now, I think a big part of that story has to be that we're able to make money. And by making money, I'm not even talking about net profits. I'm just talking about a positive adjusted EBITDA, right? You can't say, hey, we're in the energy arbitrage business, and guess what? What we've really discovered how to do is how to take $1 and turn it into 10 cents, right? That that's not going to resonate with any market. And I don't say that, right, as a knock on our business, on our company, which I care about so deeply. I say that as an observation that is, I think, crucial to this conversation, right? Unless there's an industry out there that embraces, a company that might be highly innovative and that doesn't actually, generate free cash flow. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a tough sell. That's a much, much tougher sell. I do, however, think that, hey, if we can maintain cash flow positivity, right, as we did in Q4 2023, as we are currently doing now, right, knock on wood, don't want to jinx anything, during Q1 2024, hope I said that correctly, Q4 2023, cash flow positive, yes, and Q1 2024, so far so good, cash flow positive. Can we continue that through the halving of, again, Bitcoin's halving? Can we prove ourselves to be an entity that can arbitrage energy in a manner that produces positive cash flow regardless of market dynamics, be it in the Bitcoin market, be it in the, the grid, right? The wholesale market, so to speak, right? The energy markets, be it in the renewable energy credit market, or be it in the carbon capture credit market, right? Hey, can we navigate all those various potential revenue inputs and do so in a way that at the end of every quarter we could at least be, have positive adjusted EBITDA? I think that's going to really be critical. But I think on top of that, because even if we are cash flow positive, which we are, I don't think it's going to matter within the Bitcoin mining industry, right? We could be printing money in this industry, but it doesn't really matter because the way we're doing it, I mean, I hate to sound crude by saying it this way, but I don't think anybody really gives a shit about carbon capture credits within the Bitcoin mining industry. I don't think anybody really gives a shit about energy arbitrage really within the Bitcoin mining industry. What investors and traders do give a shit about is, hey man, what's your hash rate capacity? Wait, it's at 4.1. When is it going to be at 40.1 or 400.1? Like, what I mean? There's that mindset of like exponential growth. That's the Bitcoin mining industry. I don't know that we fit into this industry. I really don't. I think as an energy company, as an energy business, as an energy arbitrage business, within the energy sector, not the Bitcoin mining sector, the energy sector, as an energy producer, as an energy arbitrager, right? I think the dynamic might be different. I think the, sort of like the receptiveness to what we're doing might be different. I think potential interest from larger energy companies might actually materialize when they say, hey, you know what, these guys are doing something pretty interesting, something that I don't know that we'd want to necessarily experiment and do ourselves and try to prove out. So we're grateful that they have done all of that for us. Now they have a cash flow positive business. They've figured out how to, make grid sales work, how to supplement it with Bitcoin mining, how to tap into renewable energy credits, how to maximize environmental impact in a positive way through carbon capture, and how to monetize that. They've figured out the proverbial Rubik's Cube. Hey, now we can just kind of import their best practices into our larger operation. And hey, you know what we're going to do too? We're just going to go and buy them so that we can try to like infuse their entrepreneurial DNA into our much larger energy enterprise. And that's something that happens routinely in all kinds of different industries. I don't think that longer term that we really have a place or a home in the publicly traded Bitcoin mining industry for the reasons I've set forth. What do you think? Again, this is something that really came to me. I mean, I was out most of the day, just out exercising, beautiful weather for mountain biking. And I'm just like, hey, how the hell do we fit into the Bitcoin mining industry? I don't think we do. Now, if you have some good arguments that, hey, counter this, I'd love to hear them. If you have a different perspective, I'd love to hear it. But I just don't think that we have a future in this industry. And I don't know that we're going to ever really get the recognition or respect for the achievements that we've made in this industry when the focus of this industry is on one thing and one thing alone: exponential hash rate growth. And I don't think that's something that we can give the industry, right? We can't give this market what it wants. So maybe it's time to consider some other options. Okay, my friend, with all of that said, I hope you have a phenomenal weekend. Let's stay positive. Let's be great. And we'll see each other again sometime next week. Not saying Monday of next week, maybe sometime next week. All right, see you then.